Welcome to the Pocket. I am your host, Scooter, and here for you guys today. We're going to react to the NFC Championship game between the Eagles and Commanders and the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Bills. Now, before we get into it, please do leave a like on the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Was this a Super Bowl matchup you wanted? Tell me down below, and please subscribe if you aren't already. And now, before we dive directly into the game, I guess we'll just talk for maybe like 2 minutes about the Super Bowl matchup that we're going to be getting. We're getting a rematch. Chiefs versus Eagles. So we have seen this matchup before. Just like last year, it's going to be a rematch between the super team of the NFC and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Now, as you can see behind me, I have a Saquon Barkley jersey, I have a Travis Kelce jersey, and an A.J. Brown jersey. Of course, I do not have any Eagles jerseys, but since I'm such a fortunate Giants fan, all of my favorite players end up going to the Eagles anyway. That A.J. Brown jersey, I got that after his rookie year, and that Saquon Barkley jersey, obviously I got that as soon as I possibly could, as soon as we drafted him. And now they're both on the Eagles, so I already don't like the Eagles, and now they have two of my favorite players playing for them for another Super Bowl, this time with Saquon Barkley. So it's really tough for me to root for them, but fortunately for them, to keep my take as unbiased as I will try to keep it, they're playing the Chiefs, who I don't like either. I don't want to see them win again. I'm bored of them. I'm sick of them. And I feel like both teams deserve to be here, so I cannot wait to dive deep into that game and give you guys my take. Because like I said, I really don't have a strong preference towards who wins. I just want to see a good game, and I think that's something we can all agree on. All right. Now we're going to get into the reactions to the AFC and NFC Championship games, starting with the AFC. In this game, the Bills and Chiefs faced off. Now, if you didn't know already, the Chiefs did manage to win 32-29. It was another really close game. What are my initial thoughts? Sadness. I really wanted Josh Allen to win. You see, I got the jersey. Actually, it's behind the chair right there, and I got that a couple years ago too. Everybody loved seeing Josh Allen and what he was doing as a young player in that breakout year. Obviously, he's such a fun player, and everyone's rooting for him. He's kind of like, I'd say the Bills are like America's team right now. Everybody I talk to is either like a casual fan or they're just kind of, finding their love for football. They're all Bills fans. So me and everybody else wanted to see them win because everyone's sick of the Chiefs. But they just couldn't get it done. So I'm sad. Yeah, that's my first reaction. And then my other reaction is this game, once again, was there to be had. I mean, it was won by a field goal. There were lots of turning points and, lead changes in terms of who was winning. And there were multiple, like, fourth down conversions and turnovers at the very end of the game that obviously could have changed everything. And, it was there to be had. It's just, you really hate to see it. It wasn't like that first time around where they got completely obliterated. It wasn't like that. It's been getting, pretty close previous couple matchups, but, this one was right up there. And then my last initial thought is, like, what is it about this Bills team that they just can't get it done? I mean, I'm going to mention something later that I think could be the reason, but I think they got the players, right? I'd say they added Amari Cooper. They drafted Keon Coleman, who wasn't spectacular, but didn't have a bad start, bad rookie year. And Curtis Samuel, Shakir. I mean, they got some receivers. And, of course, they got 3 running backs and a great offensive line. So mix all that with Josh Allen, and, yeah, your offense is great. But the defense struggled early on in the year, but they really seemed to figure it out. They got Milano healthy, and they were looking good in the playoffs. But I just don't know what it is about this Bills team that they can't beat this Chiefs team because, whether it goes one way or not on paper, you would just figure after 4 meetings, eventually Allen would get the best of them. Let's say maybe the later 3 meetings is when they were actually more comparable, where it actually could have been closer. I just don't know what it is about the Bills. Let's talk about the top players for both teams in this game. You had, for the Bills, Josh Allen had a great day, 237 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He was 22 for 34 when it came to completions, and then he had 11 carries on the ground for 39 yards. James Cook, he had 13 carries for 85 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And then he also was the team's second leading receiver, 3 receptions for 49 yards. So he had a great day. And then Mac Hollins, he was the guy who He was the receiver for the Bills who showed up. He was looking like the Gabe Davis of this game because he made two really, really big catches. And one of them was for a touchdown. It was a great throw by Allen. And it was a great catch by Matt Collins to reel it in, sort of one-handedly in the end zone and score the touchdown. I believe they were down by a touchdown at that point in time too. So that was a huge play going in the half. So yeah, that was the big players for the Bills. And then for the Chiefs, obviously, it was Patrick Mahomes, but he kind of got it done in a different way than he normally does. 18 for 26 when it came to completions, 245 passing yards and one touchdown. You're like, well, that wasn't really that great. Well, he had 11 carries for 43 yards and two touchdowns. The Chiefs, when I mentioned them sort of throttling and not revealing their whole playbook, this is what I mean. I feel like I haven't seen them do these play action bootlegs. Obviously there's someone in the flat, but Mahomes, I feel like I always see this in the playoffs too. They always start doing this again. He'll just take off. The second he sees that defender guarding on the flat is fully on him and say like the nickel is sort of in a zone or like there's like a spy who's kind of half covering someone and sort of hesitating to chase Mahomes will just take off. So he had a great day on the ground. And so did Kareem Hunt, who was their leading rusher, 17 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. He wasn't super efficient, but when it mattered in the red zone, he was. And then for the receiving game, Xavier Worthy had 6 for 85 and a touchdown. He looked really good. When they get him going on those mesh concepts, it's just like another way you can use a speedster. You don't have to have him sprint all the way down the field and try to connect on a deep ball. Just get him the ball in space, and that was something that was really hard for the Bills to stop. And now I did forget to mention the defensive top players for the Bills. It was Matt Milano. He had a big day. He led them in tackles, or pretty close to it. 9 tackles, 1 assist. He had a sack. Big day from him. He was going to be very crucial to have healthy if they were going to have a chance to win, and he proved that. And then for the Chiefs, it's sort of always everyone on their defense, but Jamari Connor, he did have a good game. He managed 5 tackles, 5 assists, and no sacks, picks, or anything like that, but he just led the team in tackles, so I decided to pick him. Now let's go into the drive-by-drive. So you kind of have a visual of who's going to be sticking out in this situation here, in this drive-by-drive. The game started off with the Chiefs scoring 6 minutes into the first quarter with a rushing touchdown, 12 yards by Kareem Hunt. He was hard to bring down on that one. Bills, they get a field goal, and then they get a stop on defense and go down and score with James Cook. So that's 10 points right there. And that touchdown was in the second quarter. The Chiefs then, like I said, with Worthy, they get him going on that crossing or the mesh route. He takes it into the end zone for a touchdown, 14-10 Chiefs. And then there was a stop, and the Chiefs drive all the way down the field and score within 2 minutes, making it 21-10. And you're thinking, oh, God, like, here we go again. This is just going to be like the first time around when these two teams played off. But no, the Bills, this is when that Matt Collins touchdown happened with 23 seconds left. The Bills were, I believe, on the Chiefs like 40 or something like that. The 34-yard line. Josh Allen drops back. He's got time in the pocket, and he heaves it downfield. Matt Collins, you could see the big, tall wide receiver. He is reaching up and pulling it down for the touchdown. And it was at that moment where you're like, oh, maybe this game isn't lost. Bills, first to strike in the third quarter with a James Cook 1-yard rushing touchdown with only about 3 minutes left. So that makes it 20, and there was a 2-point sack of Josh Allen. So they did not get the 2-point there to make it a 3-point game. 22-21 Bills. And then in the fourth quarter, this is where it happens. Patrick Mahomes, he gets down to the red zone. I believe it was like the 10-yard line. And they did that play action boot thing where there was someone in the flat, but Mahomes, or no, actually this was a read option, but there was someone sort of sprinting to the flat. Maybe he was going to pick up a block on a corner, but Mahomes just zoomed right into the end zone, scored the touchdown faster than I've ever seen him run in a long time, especially when you consider he was coming into the playoffs with an ankle injury. Anyway, the Bills, with the score now being 29-22, are down a touchdown. They make their way all the way down to the field and get to fourth down on the 1-yard line, or it was very close to it. And with 6 minutes left, Josh Allen takes the snap in the gun. He scrambles around a little bit, just briefly, and then finds Curtis Samuel in the end zone, tying up the game at 29-29. And then this is where things get sad. The Chiefs go down and they kick a field goal with 3.5 minutes left. So you're like, okay, this is what I had predicted. Oh, the Bills are within a touchdown of winning this game, and they're going to have the ball last them. Let's go. It's happening. Well, They get down the field, and it gets to 4th and 1. And you're like, all right, this is what they're supposed to do. They do the tush push. Josh Allen jumps over. It looks like he fumbles the ball, but he gets it back, and they convert for the first down. And then the very next set, they get to, excuse me, this was after the Curtis Samuel touchdown. They get to another 4th down, and they go for it. And remember, the game is tied at this point in time. So they go for it, and they do not get it. But the replay showed that it was very close whether or not Josh Allen got this first down or not. And they decided not to overturn it. I believe it was challenged by Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott challenged a play in this game. Let me just double check real quick. McDermott challenge. He challenged, it looks like, yeah, it was the 4th down attempt that he did challenge, and they didn't overturn it. So I was very disappointed about that. It just makes you think about the, the rigging that people talk about, which there certainly was some suspicious calls in this game. And then, so yeah, the Chiefs went on to kick the field goal, and they take the lead instead. Bills get the ball back, and they're actually driving, and you're like, okay, they still have a chance to win. They're only down 3. They can score and chew up all the clock. Well, they get to 4th down and 5. And you're like, oh, man, this isn't tush-push territory. What are they going to do here? Well, you got to throw. Maybe give Josh Allen a chance to take it with his legs if he sees nothing there. But this is the problem against the Chiefs, is when you're in these 4th and short situations and you can't just tush-push it, this is when he always does something crazy. He always sends some crazy blitz, and he gives you no time to process the play, and he forces you to make a perfect decision. So he sent a stunt on the right side that looked like it sent a nickel and a linebacker, and it had Chris Jones all the way on the other side as the defensive end. Now, the reason I mention that is because there was a miscommunication on this play. They block it up on the left side pretty good, but it looks like the center and the guard in the middle are dealing with someone. And the guard on the left is trying to decide whether or not he's going to switch off and try to help against Chris Jones. But in reality, this guard is looking at the wrong side because there is 3 guys on the other side of the line, and that's too much. That center has to come off. But it was too little, too late, and those 3 guys pretty much all get pressure, and Josh Allen's already scrambling that way, and it looks like he wants to do the little twirl back the other way like Russell Wilson, but he hesitates, and he just throws it up, and that's because he saw Dalton Kincaid wide open, but the ball just falls just short into his hands, and he can't make the catch. But fear not, the Bills still had 2 timeouts, and the game was not over. So the Chiefs have the ball, and they get 1 first down. So with the help of the 2-minute warning and whatnot, the Bills were still able to get a stop and maybe get the ball back with like 50 seconds. But they get to 3rd and 8 or something like that, and you're thinking, oh, man, this is where the Chiefs just pull a rabbit out of their hat, and that's exactly what they did. They ran a mesh concept with 3 guys. The way they ran it was very interesting. The 3 wide receivers on the left, they ran inside, stemmed up, and then ran their crossing routes, and the running back just slipped out right underneath them. So it's sort of like they delayed the defense from seeing the running back slip out, and yeah, he was wide open. P. Ryan got the first down easily, and that ended the game. So that's your drive by drive. I try to do the best I can with that. To recap it for you guys perfectly. So forgive me if I made a mistake. So let's pick out a key play. I sort of already went into it, but it was that 4th and 5 because there was still opportunity after this to get a stop, but you're trusting your defense against Mahomes. That's not really, normal probability. Let's just say that. The thing you want is the situation you're in. Even 4th and 5, give me the ball and let me keep it. So them not converting right there, falling under the pressure to Spagnuolo, it's really unfortunate. But hey, this is why the Chiefs are so great, and this is something the Bills are going to have to figure out eventually. I wouldn't say there was much they could have done much differently in this game. The Chiefs actually had the only turnover of the game. Mahomes fumbled, so they played their cleanest game too. It's just they weren't quite converting when it mattered, and they got screwed here and there by a couple calls. So that was the key play. Let's talk about the narratives that I now have from this game. And briefly, I'll talk about the narratives that I thought were going to happen. I said I thought the Bills were really different this year. These defensive injuries could kill them, though. They all ended up playing, so that's not part of it. But I thought the Bills were different. I guess if they lost, they're not different, but they do play differently. Okay, so this one's sort of like but yeah, I'll say they're not different because they did not beat the Chiefs. And I said I think if they play their best game against the Chiefs, they won't be able to stop them on offense. Well, if a call here and there and one failed fourth down conversion, and it looks like the Chiefs were able to stop them, but it really wasn't like that. So I'm actually going to say I actually had that one down that the Chiefs defense did struggle against the Bills. It's just one or two play calls by a great coach that can make the difference. That's just the thing. So now we're going to talk about the narratives that actually sprouted from this game. And that is that the Chiefs are still the Chiefs and still further notice. I mean, this isn't news, but anytime you pick against them and you end up being wrong, you have to readmit this. So I'm saying that. And now let's talk about the Bills. The losing team always gets more narratives because their season's over. But the Bills, this is my first thing about them. I don't think they have the star power on defense to make up for the coaching differences they have. Comparing to the Chiefs with Reed and Spagnuolo. McDermott's a pretty good coach, but I would say the Chiefs even have more star talent on that defense with guys like McDuffie, Chris Jones. Karlaftis is sort of like the level of guy the Bills have all over the place. The Bills do have Milano, but the Chiefs have great linebackers too. So it's just like I don't think that they had enough difference makers. They got 2 sacks. I think it was Jordan Phillips and Milano got the sacks, but you need like an elite edge rusher. I've heard rumors about them getting a guy like Myles Garrett. And I really do think that could be the key to them finally stopping this Chiefs offense. Because if there's just, of course, they got to stay healthy. They tried doing it with Von Miller. It didn't work. But get a young guy like Myles Garrett, who's even better than Von Miller on paper. And hey, that just might be the thing you need. Because you remember that first season they had Von Miller while he was healthy. They looked like easily the best team in the league. They destroyed the reigning Super Bowl champion Rams week 1. So that's one of my narratives. Another one is Josh Allen's got what it takes to beat Mahomes. He's like right there in the same tier. These 4 losses are not on him. Mahomes has Spagnuolo, the great defense. He's got Reed on offense and a great offensive line that still blocks it up for guys like Kareem Hunt to score rushing touchdowns. So it's not on Josh Allen. And for anyone calling to fire Sean McDermott, I disagree. I don't think you should fire coaches in these positions because just because you think your coach isn't Andy Reid doesn't mean you should fire him trying to find Andy Reid, because chances are you're going to get further away from Sean McDermott than you are going to get closer to Andy Reid with your new coach, right? Especially in year 1. It's just a dumb idea. They just need more talent on defense. And I think what this all sort of rounds up into is to copy the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They do have Kelsey. So maybe the Bills could fit in just like one more guy, but they have like a collection of running backs. They have a great offensive line and they have an elite defense. And the whole offense just revolves around their elite quarterback. So my advice to the Bills is copy the Chiefs, keep doing what you're doing, keep building the way you're building, and one day you'll get there. And then something I just wanted to note is how about these Chiefs mesh concepts, man? On that 4th down or that 3rd down to end the game, the passes to Worthy, the one he scored on. It's just every clutch play. And even going back to the other Super Bowls, the misdirection and the meshes that Andy Reid comes up with truly is the difference of what makes him a great coach. All right. So now we've talked about narratives. We talked about the game. Let me give you my conclusion. All right. So this Chiefs-Bills rivalry isn't going anywhere. Any of you think, oh, the Bills are going to get demoralized? Nah, it's not going to happen. No, they're going to be right back. And the Ravens too. You guys, I would say, need to learn more how to figure it out in the playoffs and make those sort of adjustments, because Lamar's ceiling is so high, but like the bad plays that he turns up with, it ends up costing them the game. So they got to be able to play more conservatively and still maintain the upside they have. I think adding an elite wide receiver, like maybe a Tyreek Hill, someone who's looking to get out of town, might be a genius idea. They should have got Devontae Adams. I think they would have beat the Bills if they did that. But so the Ravens are in there too. This is the new Brady, Manning, and Big Ben of the AFC. It is here. It's not going anywhere. And you can throw Joe Burrow in there too. So I don't know who the 4th guy would be in that category. But yeah, we got 4 now. 4 contending quarterbacks in the AFC, and we got like 1.5 in the NFC. So that's my conclusion about the AFC Championship. So sad about the Bills, but I guess now we get to talk about something that I'm, I guess, not quite as sad about, and that's the NFC Championship. What's my reaction to this? Well, what I thought was going to happen is I thought the Eagles and Jalen would struggle on 3rd and long. That didn't exactly happen. I would say they were pretty good on 3rd down. They were 5 for 10. But the other two narratives that I predicted did happen. The Commanders will continue to go for it on 4th down. They went for it 6 times and got it 4 times. So they did do that. And then Saquon is unstoppable. Yeah, he was unstoppable. So I did still pick them to win, assuming that. It's just it didn't go the way that I thought it would. So let me tell you the score. The Eagles, who I predicted to lose, ended up winning 55-23. How about that? Hey, I knew it was possible, right? I really knew it was possible. And to be honest, I expected it. After that Saquon touchdown on the Eagles' first drive, I expected it. And this always happens when I pick the Eagles, is that I know within like the first like 2 drives, the first 5 minutes of the game, if I'm going to be wrong for picking against them, because the Eagles either show up and they have these elite explosive turnover plays in the first half and these long touchdowns and they just look unstoppable. Or if that doesn't happen and the other team's competitive enough to the point that I picked them to win, then they're probably going to win. So I would say 2 of my 3 narratives hit, and my initial thoughts, I just gave them to you. So let's talk about the top players in for each team. For the Eagles, it was Jalen Hurts, who was 20 for 28, great completion percentage, 246 passing yards, and a passing touchdown. But not only that, Jalen Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns, 10 carries for 16 yards. Push. Hey, he still did have 3 rushing touchdowns, though. So obviously a great day from him. And then they also had Saquon, 15 carries for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Holy crap. He is so good. It's truly incredible. Especially, I mean, I could have told you this was going to happen a year ago when we lost him. And I would have told you, hey, if he goes to a great team like the Eagles, he's going to have an amazing season. Yeah, anyone could have told you that. At least the people who weren't doubting him for injury concerns and age, Joe Shane. Anyway, A.J. Brown was their leading receiver, 6 for 96 and a touchdown. For the Commanders, Jaden Daniels was their leading rusher and passer, 29 of 48 for 255 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, 6 carries for 48 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Receiving, Zach Ertz had 11 catches for 104 yards. And Terry McLaurin also had a big game, 3 catches for 51 and a touchdown. He scored an early touchdown that sort of gave the Commanders momentum to keep going in the first half. So that was it. And then defensively for the Eagles, it was Zach Bond. He had a really good game. He's always all over the field. You could tell 8 tackles, 4 assists. Pretty sure he recovered a fumble and forced it out. And then for the Commanders, it was kind of hard to pick this one, but I just went with Frankie Louvu. This guy was hilarious. It was kind of annoying at one point, but he kept jumping off sides, trying to catch the Eagles in their tush push, and just kind of delayed the game to the point that the refs actually threatened to just give the Eagles a touchdown. So, but he did actually have a good day. He ended up with a leading tackler. No, that was Jeremy Chin. He had 1 sack, 2 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and he did a really good job pursuing Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, so good for him. Drive by drive. Oh, man, this is going to take a while. I might just sort of summarize it by half or quarter. So the Commanders, they did that long drive thing where they chewed up like 7 minutes a clock, only to kick a 34-yard field goal. The Eagles get the ball, and they turn around and just hand it to Saquon after a great kickoff return, and he just takes it 60 yards to the house. 7-3 Eagles lead. Commanders, they get the ball again, and I believe they fumbled. They fumbled. The one thing that, cannot happen, they did. They fumbled at, midfield, and it was at this point that I knew it was over. I thought, hey, maybe, you come tie up this game, or you go 10-7, and you're sort of going back and forth, going to half with a lead or down 3 or something. No. After this fumble, I knew the Eagles were going to score, and that they did with Saquon Barkley, 14-3. But then, this was where the Terry McLaurin touchdown happened. I mean, the Commanders kicked the field goal, and they got to stop, and it's like, okay, we can do something here. And that's when Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels connected on a short pass that Terry took 36 yards to the house. They went for 2 and did not convert, so it was 14-12. Now, the Eagles, they run the ball all the way down the field, get that tush push going with less than 2 minutes left. They go up 20-12, and then the Commanders can't do anything with this time. Eagles get the ball back, and they go down and score with A.J. Brown, 27-12. So, yeah, 12-20, it was sort of survivable. Hopefully you were wishing you were going to get a field goal or something, but just at the worst time, you get that, Eagles touchdown, and you're pretty much out of the game. I mean, they did manage to drive down and get a field goal the second time, so it was 15-27 going in the half, but that's not a script to beat the Eagles. So in the third quarter, it was pretty much all Eagles touchdowns, with the exception of Jaden Daniels' 10-yard run, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and Will Shipley. So total domination for the whole second half for the Eagles. The narratives that are coming out of this game for me. Let's talk about the Commanders. They exceeded expectations for sure, but they're not just overachievers, right? They did not, overachieve just to overachieve. They're not the Giants of 2022, right? Slipping into the playoffs at 9-7-1, winning a bunch of one-score games. Now, the Commanders did struggle against tougher competition this year, and they did win some one-score games, but obviously they turned it on and improved even more as they got to the playoffs. The Giants fell flat. So I don't think this Commanders team is going anywhere. I get they overachieved. Maybe they don't win 12 games next year, but they'll be a above 500 team, I think, moving on into the future. They're just finishing year one of their rebuild, and they're in the conference championship. So they could win the Super Bowl by projection next year, Now for the Eagles, my narrative for them, my first one, is that they're better this time around than their first run at the Super Bowl. And there's sort of there's a couple reasons for that. Number one is they have already gone to the Super Bowl, right? So there's lots of players on this team that got experience. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Smitty, Goddard, they've all been there before. But also, last time they went to the Super Bowl, what really killed them that I was pointing out all season was how soft their schedule was, how soft their playoff schedule was. They beat the Giants and then the 49ers after their quarterbacks were injured. Really not that impressive of a Super Bowl run if you're going to play one of the easiest schedules and then the easiest playoff run that I have personally ever seen. They did earn the 1 seed, so. But anyway, so they didn't have any that season experience. This year they've got great experience playing tough teams, winning close games against good teams like the Ravens. Obviously their playoff run this year was way more competitive than that first time around. The Packers, they're a good team. They dominated them. The Rams are a good team. They did what they had to do to beat them. This Eagles team has a lot more experience, and now they have Saquon Barkley. So that's your 3 reasons why they're better this time around than they were the first time. Now, another narrative I will say is the Eagles may have the best running game I've ever seen. This kind of goes into that narrative I just said, but it ties into Saquon Barkley, this offensive line. The way they can rotate running backs if they want to, the fact that their receivers are such a threat that you cannot simply load the box. And finally, Jalen Hurts takes away one defender any play you want to do read option. So you're defending Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts with 10 guys against the Eagles offensive line. Best running game I've ever seen. I mean, you just look at how much they were able to lean on him. I don't think it's Jalen Hurts is bad, so they have to use Saquon. I think it's Jalen Hurts isn't the greatest, but he's pretty good. But Saquon's even better. Okay? But here's something I will say about Jalen. He looked way better in this game. He did. But the one thing that just doesn't seem to change about him is he really needs to improve his pocket presence. One dude gets within 5 yards of him, and he does a 12-yard loop-de-loop to the right and then throws it out of bounds. He did that 6 times in this game. And if he wasn't so lucky to have such a lead or, such a great team to hold that lead for him, those plays, people would look at those a lot differently. So let's not forget those when they're playing the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and you need to convert an important third down because you're only up 7 and there's 2 minutes left, right? So the Eagles have a lot going for them. I think because of everything I said, they got a better shot this time around. Jalen looked great in the Super Bowl before he's gained all this experience and learned all these lessons. So I can imagine even if he didn't look that great in this playoff run, he's going to show up again in the Super Bowl. And that means the Eagles will have a good shot. So I guess I did talk a lot more about the Bills-Chiefs game than I did about the Commanders-Eagles game. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple more of my thoughts about the Eagles and Commanders before we end this video. Yeah, so obviously the play-by-play, there was much less to talk about in the Eagles-Commanders game than there was in the Chiefs-Bills game. But I want to just talk a little bit more about this Eagles team since you guys have a bit of a strained relationship with me. And especially those of you who are friends of mine who are Eagles fans, you guys will know I seem to have a true like disdain for the Eagles. And I'll tell you guys something, all right? This all roots back to that Super Bowl run they had a few years ago. I was in college. I had close friends who were Eagles fans, and I was listening to them all year. And the Giants were having a good season, but of course we were like overshadowed and whatnot. So I was on my high horse and I was thinking, yeah, the Giants are probably not as good as the Eagles, but the Eagles, they're frauds, right? They've played this soft schedule and they're going to lose in the playoffs. Um, but they proved me wrong, right? Giants beat them and I was like, or the Giants lost to them. I was like, all right, I kind of saw it coming, but the 49ers got them. And then the quarterbacks get injured. And I got really mad when that happened. I really did because I was like, no, they should have lost this game, right? If the 49ers were hell, they would have won. Well, it wasn't what happened. So they made it to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, they're going to lose. Everyone was hyping up how great that Eagles team was. They're talking about it the way I'm talking about this Eagles team. Best offensive line we've ever seen. Amazing offense. Defense was pretty good. But I picked them to lose. And actually, against my strongest source, my favorite source for football content, that franchise guy, all of my guys, all of my subscribers, please go subscribe to that franchise guy. He's been doing this for years, and I've been following him. He's still growing, and I really appreciate all the work he's done over the years because I have enjoyed football more because of him. But he picked the Chiefs to lose that year. He thought Eagles are just too good, man. This pass rush is going to get home. They're going to disrupt them, and that's how you stop them. And that is true. But I was just like, no. Like Jalen Hurts, the schedule they've played, they haven't even played a team like this Chiefs team. And well, their defense got exposed. It wasn't the offense. I was wrong about Hurts that game. Hurts went off. I get a lot of it was tush pushes and stuff, but it went beyond that. I complained about Jalen on third down. He was great on third down. I was talking to my close friends. I'm saying, look at the way he scrambled and hit Goddard while he was running full stride and Hurts was in full stride and it was a great throw and he was doing that a lot. I'm like, this is what you got to see out of someone who's becoming an elite quarterback. Well, that kind of went away. I don't really know where that went, but maybe he'll pull it out again in this Super Bowl. So why am I saying all this? Well, it started in that Super Bowl where I gave Jalen some credit and I said, all right, I hate on him a little too much. All right, I'll admit it. And plus, Jalen's a great guy. I love who Jalen is. I think he's a great role model. I'm so glad that Eagles fans, young kids have such a great guy to look up to. Plus Saquon now, it's really good, right? I'm really grateful that Jalen Hurts is in the league. But when we're just talking ball, I don't just give out credit. But hey, he earned it. And then that following season, they went on to play a really tough schedule, and I was, standing on my milk crate planting my flag saying, oh, they're gonna lose eventually. Well, they went through that rough stretch of the schedule and completely won all those games until the 49ers game where they collapsed and then, they started losing, and then they had a very disappointing end to their season. So I thought, okay, they did actually play pretty well against a tough competition, but after a couple injuries and some weird things going on with Jalen and AJ Brown and all that kind of stuff, it just kind of all fell apart. Without AJ Brown in the playoffs, they couldn't get it done. But I realized I was like, they really are that good though, huh? I'm sure if they had AJ Brown, that it would have been a little different, or just could have been a different season. I just started figuring, hey, they proved me wrong this year, and now this year it's just solidified. I feel like even as a Giants fan, and you could say this is long overdue or whatever, but I'm giving the Eagles like their respect that they're going to be this NFC powerhouse for probably at least another 3 years, as long as Saquon's there and as long as the core of this team and the offensive line is here and Hurts doesn't have some major injury, they should be good. So I'm giving the Eagles their credit. I'm not coming out with my Super Bowl pick in this video. I'll probably release it Friday of the Super Bowl week. I still got to schedule all that, but I promise you guys, I don't have a really strong bias either way about who wins. I've gotten my feed of watching the Eagles like lose the other Super Bowl and last year I'm like, all right, I'm kind of over it. The Eagles have earned every bit of where they've gotten this year. So I'm not going to take that away from them. They deserve to be in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. and the Chiefs tend to, have the devil magic. So I can't really say what I usually say about the Eagles, where they get all these calls. So, hey, it's kind of like, for me, it's like the lesser of two evils, but I'm just kind of hoping for a good game and hope the best team wins. If the Chiefs win, I'm happy for DeAndre Hopkins. If the Eagles win, I'm pretty much only happy for half of Saquon Barkley because the other half of him is in Philadelphia, but I know a little part of him still loves those Giants fans. That's where he started off. So, but yeah, that's my elaboration on the Eagles, guys. Don't take it personal. All right, you gotta appreciate that there's a Giants fan out there who's just waiting to pounce on you guys. All right, but I'm giving you credit now, so that's gotta feel even better. All right, can we all be happy about that? Let's be happy about that. Okay, so that's going to be all for this reaction video. We covered the AFC Championship, my reaction to it, and the NFC Championship, along with a couple narratives for the winners who are moving on to the Super Bowl. Um, Commanders fans, it's too bad. You guys had an amazing season. You'll be good next year and have another fun season. Bills fans, man, I hope you guys can do it next year. But I guess this just wasn't the year. You gotta lock in, reload, and do it again. And all you Eagles and Chiefs fans, congratulations for making the Super Bowl. Super happy for you guys who follow and support your team that you get to experience something like that. It's going to be awesome for you. And anyone who's just an NFL fan, we made it. It's here. It's the Super Bowl. And I am hyped. Not only that, am I hyped for the Super Bowl, but this is officially concluding. Like after I make my Super Bowl video and reaction, my first full season, not including the off season, of YouTube, which is going to be so awesome. I'm it doesn't even feel real. I don't even like feel it in my body that it's here, but it's really here. I will have completed a full NFL season of YouTube and delivering on all of my promises for you guys. I didn't miss a single video. I can't even believe it. It's honestly, it makes me so happy. And I'm glad if you guys enjoyed the content. I really am. So if you did, please leave a like on the video on this one and tell me in the comments what are your reactions to the Commanders losing, to the Bills losing. What's your reaction to the Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl? Subscribe if you aren't already so you don't miss my Super Bowl prediction or my NFL awards prediction or anything like that. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.